The universe had always been ruled by the Galactic Empire. For centuries, they had controlled everything, planets, systems, and even the fate of billions of lives. Humanity, once considered weak, was nothing more than a tiny speck in the vast galaxy. But things were about to change. Deep in a hidden facility, far from the Empire's reach, a team of brilliant scientists and military leaders worked in secret. They had been tasked with creating the most powerful weapon the galaxy had ever seen. The project was called the USS Blackstar, a warship unlike any other. It was designed to be humanity's answer to the Empire's overwhelming strength. The Blackstar wasn't just a ship. It was a symbol of hope for the future. For years, humanity had been oppressed, unable to challenge the Empire's might. But now, they had a chance to strike back. The engineers worked tirelessly, pushing the boundaries of technology. The ship would be fast, powerful, and nearly indestructible. Every part of the ship was built with the latest tech, making it a weapon of unimaginable destruction. As the Blackstar neared completion, whispers of its existence began to spread. No one outside the project knew the full scale of what was being built, but the rumors were enough to send shivers down the spine of anyone who heard them. Some said it could destroy entire fleets with a single blow. Others claimed it was a weapon so powerful that even the Empire would fear it. But none of that mattered to the team working on the ship. They had only one goal, to test the Blackstar and see if it truly lived up to its potential. The first test flight was set for a quiet night, far away from prying eyes. The world was watching, but no one knew what would happen. As the engines of the Blackstar roared to life, there was a sense of excitement mixed with fear. The crew on board knew this was a test that would change everything. The ship rose into the air, its sleek form cutting through the sky like a knife. The power it held was visible in every move it made. It was like watching a beast come to life. For the first time, humanity had a weapon capable of striking fear into the hearts of the Empire. But something went wrong. As the Blackstar entered deep space, its systems began to flicker. The crew struggled to maintain control. There were no signs of any danger, but it felt as though the universe itself was rejecting the ship. The stars outside seemed to warp and twist as the ship was pulled into a strange, unknown force. The crew tried to regain control, but the ship vanished into the darkness of space. For days, there was silence. The project team waited anxiously, not knowing what had happened to their greatest creation. Some feared it had been destroyed. Others believed the Blackstar had somehow found a new path, one that no one could understand. But as the days turned into weeks, the Empire grew restless. They had heard the rumors. They knew something had changed, and they were afraid. The Blackstar had disappeared from the radar, but its legacy was just beginning. No one knew where it had gone, but the fear it created would not fade. The galaxy had never seen a weapon like this before, and its return would shake the very foundation of the Empire. As the crew of the Blackstar tried to understand what had happened, the Empire began to hear the whispers. Humanity, once weak and hidden in the shadows, had unleashed something that could destroy everything. And no one, not even the most powerful empire, was ready for what would come next. The rise of the Blackstar had only just begun, and the universe would soon feel its power. Weeks had passed since the Blackstar had vanished into the unknown. The galaxy had begun to forget, or perhaps to hope, that the weapon never truly existed. But for those who knew the truth, the memory of the ship haunted them. Deep within the shadows, the Blackstar had been silently preparing, its systems recalibrating, its power growing. Then, one fateful day, it reappeared. The Blackstar emerged from the unknown space, its dark silhouette cutting through the stars like a shadow that had long been hidden. It was bigger now, stronger, and somehow, more terrifying. The crew aboard the ship had no idea what had happened to them during the time they were lost, but they knew one thing: the Blackstar had changed. They had returned with something more than just a ship, they had returned with a force that could tear apart entire fleets. Word of the Blackstar's return spread quickly, but the Empire's response was one of disbelief. At first, they thought it was a mere rumor, a figment of imagination spread by rebels or traitors. But soon enough, the Blackstar proved its existence beyond any doubt. The first signs of its power were subtle, just a few shots fired at some outlying Imperial satellites. But even these minor displays of strength were enough to send the Empire's top commanders into a panic. The Blackstar didn't just destroy. It dominated. Every encounter with the Empire's forces ended with the ship emerging victorious. The Empire sent its most advanced fleets to intercept it, thinking they could overpower the mysterious vessel. But they were wrong. Every time they faced the Blackstar, they were crushed without mercy. One particular battle stands out, a clash in the Outer Rim, near the fringe of known space. The Blackstar was confronted by a fleet of 20 Imperial warships. These ships were some of the most powerful in the galaxy, equipped with the latest technology and weapons. They expected the Blackstar to be just another experiment, just another piece of human technology that would be easily obliterated. But what happened next would change the Empire forever. The Blackstar didn't retreat. It didn't hesitate. The warships opened fire, unleashing everything they had. Massive energy blasts ripped through the void, but none of them hit their target. The Blackstar dodged and weaved, its speed and agility unlike anything the Empire had ever seen. Then, with a single, devastating blast from its main cannon, the Blackstar obliterated the first ship. The energy wave sent shockwaves through the remaining fleet. They tried to retaliate, but their attacks were no match for the ship's defenses. The Blackstar tore through the fleet one by one, leaving only wreckage behind. The surviving ships fled, but it was clear now, the Blackstar was unstoppable. Its power was unmatched. No one had ever seen a weapon like it, and no one could figure out how to stop it. The Empire was in chaos. The upper echelons of the Imperial military scrambled to make sense of this new threat. They had lost battles before, but nothing like this. This was a force that defied their calculations, that outclassed everything they had built. It was a weapon created by the very species they had once considered weak. The Blackstar's impact was felt across the galaxy. Fear began to spread like wildfire. The Empire, so used to controlling the destiny of every star system, now had something to fear. They could no longer act with impunity. The Blackstar was the first sign of a growing force, a resistance that had the power to challenge everything the Empire had worked for. But the Blackstar's crew didn't see themselves as conquerors. They weren't out to destroy the Empire for the sake of power. No, their mission was deeper than that. Humanity had been pushed to the edge, forced to live in the shadow of the Empire for far too long. The Blackstar was their way of striking back, but it was also their way of showing the galaxy that they would no longer be helpless. They had the power to change their fate, and they intended to do just that. But even with all its might, the Blackstar was not invincible. The ship may have been humanity's greatest weapon, but it was also a target. And now that the Empire knew it existed, they would stop at nothing to find a way to destroy it. The Blackstar had revealed its power to the galaxy, but the real test was yet to come. Would humanity be able to control this power, or would they be consumed by it? And would the Empire be able to stop the Blackstar, or would this weapon of war become a symbol of humanity's rise to supremacy? Only time would tell. As the Blackstar continued its relentless journey through the galaxy, its reputation spread far beyond the Outer Rim. The Empire, once certain of its dominance, now found itself in a state of constant panic. The ship, humanity's deadliest weapon, had struck fear into the very heart of the Empire. No one had ever seen anything like it, and no one knew how to stop it. It was the Empire's worst nightmare, an enemy that could strike without warning, a force so unpredictable and powerful that it made even the mightiest Imperial warship seem insignificant. The Blackstar didn't just defeat the Empire's fleets. It humiliated them. It shattered their sense of invincibility, and as a result, the Empire's hold over the galaxy began to loosen. The Imperial leaders couldn't ignore the threat any longer. The once unshakable confidence of their commanders was now clouded by doubt. Across the Empire, whispers of the Blackstar's power turned into full-blown panic. Soldiers, officers, and even politicians could feel the tension rising. Some even began to question if the Empire, with all its vast military might, could truly withstand this new force. Fear was everywhere. But fear wasn't the only thing that the Blackstar had brought to the Empire. It also brought uncertainty. The Blackstar was not a traditional threat. It didn't have a clear purpose like the Empire's other enemies. It didn't want land or power. It wasn't seeking to dominate or enslave. Instead, it had one goal: freedom for humanity. It was a weapon of liberation, and that made it unpredictable and terrifying. It wasn't long before the first signs of rebellion began to appear. People who had once feared the Empire's rule now saw the Blackstar as a symbol of hope. From the outer colonies to the most oppressed sectors of the galaxy, whispers of resistance began to grow louder. The Blackstar wasn't just a weapon, it was a beacon of defiance. Everywhere it went, it ignited sparks of rebellion. Some planets saw the Blackstar as a sign that they could rise up against their imperial overlords. Others saw it as a symbol of humanity's strength, a way to prove that they were not weak, that they could challenge the Empire and win. The Empire, however, didn't see it this way. To them, the Blackstar was an abomination. It was a weapon that could destroy everything they had built, and they could not let that happen. The Emperor himself, sitting in the heart of the Empire's power, issued an order: the Blackstar must be destroyed at all costs. A new fleet, one unlike any the galaxy had seen before, was assembled. This fleet wasn't just a gathering of ships. It was the Empire's answer to the Blackstar. Every ship in the fleet was designed specifically to defeat humanity's greatest weapon. The Empire had taken its time, studying the Blackstar and learning everything it could. The new fleet would be the ultimate test, a battle between the might of the Empire and the terror of the Blackstar. But while the Empire was making its preparations, the Blackstar wasn't sitting idle. The ship's crew knew that they had become the target of the most powerful force in the galaxy. They had learned, through countless skirmishes and battles, that the Empire was coming for them. They knew the Empire's fleet would be vast, but they also knew that the Blackstar wasn't just a weapon of destruction, it was a symbol of hope, and that made it stronger than anything the Empire could throw at them. Still, the question remained: could the Blackstar defeat the Empire's full power? The stakes were higher than ever before. The crew of the Blackstar wasn't just fighting for survival anymore. They were fighting for the future of humanity, for the chance to finally free themselves from the Empire's grip. The news of the new Imperial fleet sent shockwaves through the crew. They knew they couldn't let the fear that had taken root in the Empire spread to their own hearts. They had already faced impossible odds, but now, the real battle was about to begin. And with the Empire's greatest weapon bearing down on them, the crew of the Blackstar knew that the stakes had never been higher. As the Blackstar traveled deeper into Imperial space, its arrival caused ripples across the galaxy. The Empire had already begun to mobilize, sending out the message that they would not allow this weapon to exist any longer. As rumors of an impending confrontation spread, the citizens of the Empire grew even more restless. Rebellion sparked in the outer colonies, while whispers of revolution filled the air. For some, the Blackstar was a symbol of humanity's hope. For others, it was a death sentence. No one knew what the final battle would bring, but one thing was certain: the fear that the Blackstar had unleashed was only growing, and the Empire was running out of time. The galaxy was about to witness the most intense struggle it had ever seen, a battle not just for survival, but for the soul of the galaxy itself. Would the Blackstar be the weapon that would bring down the Empire, or would the Empire's unrelenting power destroy the hope humanity had placed in their greatest creation? The answer lay just beyond the stars. The stage was set. The Blackstar had traveled deeper into Imperial territory, its engines humming with unyielding power, its crew prepared for what was to come. The Empire had mobilized its vast forces, and a massive fleet, unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen, was now heading directly toward them. This wasn't just a skirmish, it was the moment of truth for humanity. The Blackstar wasn't just fighting for its survival anymore, it was fighting for the very soul of the galaxy. The fleet the Empire had assembled was immense. It was a combination of their most powerful warships, each one built for destruction. The Empire knew that it had to throw everything it had at the Blackstar if it wanted to maintain control. The warships bristled with weapons, shields, and advanced technology, far beyond anything the Blackstar had faced before. This would be no easy battle. If the Blackstar could survive this, it would prove humanity's place in the galaxy, once and for all. As the Blackstar approached the heart of Imperial space, it was greeted by a vast armada, hundreds of ships, stretching out across the stars. It was a sight that would have crushed the spirit of any lesser force, but not humanity's finest creation. The crew aboard the Blackstar had been through countless battles, and now they were faced with their biggest challenge yet. They knew this could be the end, but they were ready. The battle began in the outer rim of the Imperial fleet's territory. The first shots rang out, the quiet of space shattered by the violent bursts of energy. The Blackstar unleashed its full power, the cannon on its belly firing a beam of pure destruction. The beam struck one of the lead warships, instantly disintegrating it. But the Empire was ready. They fired back with their own weaponry, sending blasts of energy toward the Blackstar. The ship dodged and weaved, its speed almost impossible to follow. Its agility was its greatest asset, and it used it to its full advantage. The Blackstar was able to avoid nearly every hit that came its way, but the sheer number of ships attacking it began to take its toll. The Empire was relentless, launching wave after wave of attacks. The Blackstar fired back with devastating precision, but for every ship it destroyed, two more took its place. The crew of the Blackstar worked tirelessly, each person pushing their skills to the limit. The ship's captain, a battle-hardened leader, barked orders, guiding the crew through the chaos of the fight. The battle was brutal, each moment more intense than the last. The Blackstar was holding its own, but the Imperial fleet had numbers on its side. The crew realized that this battle would not be won by brute force alone. They would need strategy, cunning, and the element of surprise to defeat such an overwhelming force. As the battle raged on, the Empire's true secret weapon was revealed. Hidden deep within the heart of the fleet was a new class of ship, an enormous superdreadnought, a war machine of unimaginable size. It was the Empire's ultimate weapon, designed to counter everything the Blackstar had thrown at them. The Blackstar's crew had heard of the superdreadnought, but seeing it in person was enough to freeze their blood. This was a ship capable of obliterating entire fleets with ease. But the Blackstar was not ready to give up. With a daring maneuver, the captain ordered a direct assault on the superdreadnought. The ship veered off course, avoiding waves of fire from smaller Imperial ships, and aimed straight for the massive warship. The Blackstar's cannon charged, glowing with an intensity that could be felt even inside the ship. As it approached the superdreadnought, time seemed to slow. The crew held their breath as the Blackstar unleashed everything it had. The blast struck the superdreadnought's shields with a deafening roar. The shields shimmered, crackling under the power of the hit, but they held strong. The Blackstar couldn't stop now. They had to take it down. The captain ordered another strike, but this time, they would need to hit a weak point, the ship's core. It was the only way to take it down. The battle intensified as the Blackstar darted between enemy fire, desperately trying to find a way inside the shield of the superdreadnought. It was a battle of wits and willpower. The Empire's fleet closed in, surrounding the Blackstar with waves of fire. But the Blackstar was no ordinary ship, it was a symbol of humanity's defiance, and its crew was more than ready to give everything they had. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the Blackstar found its opening. The crew fired another devastating shot, this time directly into the superdreadnought's core. The ship exploded in a blinding flash of light, sending shockwaves through the battlefield. For a moment, everything stood still. The battle had reached its climax, and the outcome was uncertain. But in the silence that followed, it became clear. The Empire had lost its greatest weapon. The Blackstar had proven its worth. Humanity's rise had begun, and the Empire was shaken to its core. The Blackstar was not just a weapon, it was a movement, a symbol of hope that the galaxy had not seen in centuries. But even as the victory seemed secure, the Blackstar's crew knew that the war was far from over. The Empire would not fall so easily. This battle was only the beginning. The Empire was wounded, but not defeated. Even after the catastrophic destruction of their super dreadnought and the crushing defeat of their fleet, they refused to surrender. The Blackstar's victory was momentous, but it had only ignited a far greater storm. The Emperor, in his desperation, called upon his most trusted generals, the Empire's elite forces, to prepare for one final, decisive strike against humanity's greatest weapon. For the crew of the Blackstar, this moment was inevitable. They had known that the Empire would not back down, that their fight for freedom would come at a terrible cost. But they also knew that they had changed the course of the galaxy forever. The Blackstar was no longer just a weapon, it was a symbol of resistance, of humanity's refusal to be subjugated. Now, the crew had to face the Empire's full might, one last time. The time had come for a final confrontation. A vast Imperial fleet was now descending upon the Blackstar, more powerful and determined than ever. The battle to come would decide the fate of the galaxy. With every weapon in the Empire's arsenal and its greatest warlord leading the charge, the Blackstar was going to face its most dangerous challenge yet. The crew of the Blackstar was ready. They had fought through impossible odds, and they had tasted victory. But this time, the stakes were higher. The Empire was bringing everything they had. The Blackstar wasn't just fighting for its survival, it was fighting for every soul in the galaxy that dreamed of freedom. It wasn't just a battle of firepower, it was a battle for the very future of the universe. As the Blackstar moved closer to the heart of the Imperial fleet, the crew could feel the weight of the moment. The tension in the air was palpable. The Blackstar had been humanity's beacon of hope, and now it was the last hope against a power that had ruled with terror for far too long. The crew had fought together, bled together, and now they would face the Empire's ultimate weapon together. The battle began in silence, the vastness of space making the tension even more excruciating. Suddenly, the silence was shattered as the first shots rang out, massive explosions lighting up the stars, as both sides launched their weapons. The Blackstar's cannon blazed with deadly accuracy, obliterating Imperial warships with every shot. But the Empire had not come unprepared. Their new fleet was faster, more powerful, and armed with technology designed to counter the Blackstar's every move. The Imperial warlord, commanding his forces from a massive flagship, observed the battle with cold detachment. His fleet surrounded the Blackstar, trapping it in an impossible situation. It was no longer just a fight of ships, it was a fight of will. The crew of the Blackstar fought with everything they had, but the Empire's might seemed endless. Each ship that was destroyed was replaced with two more, each wave more powerful than the last. But the Blackstar was more than just a machine of war, it was a symbol of humanity's resilience. The crew knew that every shot they fired, every maneuver they made, would mean something greater than just survival. They fought with the knowledge that their victory was not just for them, but for the generations of humanity who had long been crushed under the Empire's boot. The crew made a desperate push, targeting the warlord's flagship. If they could take down the heart of the Empire's command, the rest of the fleet would falter. But getting to the flagship wasn't easy. Every step of the way, the Empire's elite forces countered with unmatched fury. The Blackstar's systems were pushed to their limits, its shields flickering as the crew scrambled to keep up with the constant barrage. At the heart of the battle, a final confrontation unfolded. The Blackstar tore through the Imperial lines, breaking free of the relentless fire as it made its way toward the warlord's flagship. The tension was unbearable, every shot, every second, could mean the end. With a final, earth-shattering blast, the Blackstar struck the warlord's flagship directly. The explosion lit up the cosmos, sending shockwaves through the battlefield. The Blackstar was damaged. Its systems were failing, and its crew was exhausted. But it had achieved the impossible. The warlord's flagship was no more. The Empire's forces hesitated. The leadership of the fleet was gone, and the momentum shifted in an instant. The Blackstar's crew had given everything, and in that final, desperate push, they had shattered the Empire's command. With their leader defeated, the remaining Imperial forces retreated. They had no choice. The Blackstar had done what no one thought possible, it had struck at the heart of the Empire and lived to tell the tale. The crew of the Blackstar had faced the greatest power in the galaxy and defeated it. Humanity had, for the first time in centuries, stood up to the Empire and won. As the Empire's forces scattered, the Blackstar's crew watched the battle fade into the distance. They had won, but at what cost? The ship was heavily damaged, and many of its crew had fallen. But as they looked out at the vast expanse of space, they realized that this battle was only the beginning. The Blackstar had proven that humanity could not be broken, that it could not be defeated. The galaxy would never be the same. The victory was theirs, but the journey was just beginning. The Empire might have been shattered, but the fight for freedom was far from over. The Blackstar had become more than a weapon, it had become a movement, a symbol that the galaxy would never forget. And for the crew of the Blackstar, their battle was only just beginning.